I mean, at rival, you can run down outside the village, beat him up, and force him to come back home. That's what Naruto actually means when he says friendship can change things. Sanjae here, and welcome back to the channel. Of course, today we'll be tackling episode 196 of the Boruto anime. It's Sunday, of course. So yeah, it honestly feels like it's been a little while. You know, I haven't really done a video since we did the reaction and review of chapter 57 of the Boruto manga. So I guess, yeah, it has been at least a few days to say the least. So yeah, but of course I realized we kind of went up a bit in terms of subscribers, so shout out to the new subscribers and of course returning subscribers. As for usual, the whole YouTube Jazz and Blues, we're trying to hit 20,000 subs by December 31st 2021. So help your friendly neighbor Uchiha out. Leave a like if you end up enjoying my reaction and review of this episode. So just let me know what you think. No pressure, no pressure, no pressure. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump into it. Hope you guys are having an awesome day, and yeah, let's get into 196, which should feature Boruto versus Naruto. Yeah. Alright, Koji fresh in the village, ready to get a snack at, Ramen King. Arno. I'm kind of hoping that I don't have the same issue like last week's reaction where, the audio just eventually goes off track. I think this should be a major change because I don't believe... Yeah, Mitsuki and Sarada weren't there for this chapter. Because this should be based on chapter 29. Mitsuki, nah, he'll put that towel, brother. Yo, Kawaki just like him just can't bother with anything, bro. Like everybody just annoy him, honestly. Kinda like how I feel on a daily basis. Yo, Sarada is just so... Sarada is just so serious and formal around Naruto. Alright, so this is a massive change. Again, because Sarada and Mitsuki were not there when this training session was going down. So it kind of makes me more interested to see how much more changes are going to be present going forward. Yeah. Yeah. I really love seeing the karma animation, I'm not lie. Yeah, bro, it's Naruto, dog. Like, still, like, arguably the strongest person right now. Yeah. Yo, alright, them up the animation of it. Yo, alright, 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 alright. Thunderclap arrow. Yeah. Oh, they've. Alright, so that was new as well. I thought it looks kind of weird in the shot. I really like what they're doing here. And I'll discuss it more in the review section. Sarada is way too, excited, inspired, and hyped right now. It's throwing me off, honestly. Boom. Yo. Look at look at me mid. I must have beat to this. There's a hole in my heart, Kakashi. Dang. I like how they're basically playing up that Naruto. Yo. I just like how, like, ever since the Boruto era, even though they've, Naruto's Hokage now and everything, I like how they play it up like he's still not the brightest. Still not the brightest person, even though he obviously has gotten smarter when it comes down to like book smarts, but I still just find it funny. It's interesting. It kind of keeps intact the charm to Naruto's character that he's had since childhood, while still kind of leveling him up to that greater role in society that he always wanted. So it's a good balance. But anyway, let's continue. This episode is really showing Boruto in a very mellow or chilled out vibe. I mean, a rival you can run down outside the village, beat him up, and force him to come back home. That's what Naruto actually means when he says friendship can change things. Ah, boy. Mr. I'm out of chakra himself. Ah, boy, this is ridiculous. Alright, see, even though Sarada come now. Just chilling, no pressure.
そこにいたのか、カワキ。見つけたぞ。
Alright, so that was episode 196 of the Boruto anime, and I sound like a broken record every week at this point, but definitely another solid episode. As a manga reader, one of the big issues, reading the Boruto manga sometimes is the setup and payoff for certain, narrative points. Essentially, since, as I always say, I wouldn't want to say that the manga is necessarily rushed, but it seems like it doesn't go as in depth with setup and then payoff, because manga readers will know later on in the story we have Sarada, performing the Chidori out of nowhere, and while it is cool, it would have been better to get the setup and eventual payoff that we are going to get later on in the story. And it's the changes that the studio, or I don't know if Kishimoto is sliding them some, list of changes to make to the anime since it has more time to flesh things out. I don't know if that's the case, but the long story short is that the changes that they've made, or they've been making since the Kara activation arc, since the Majina Bandits arc until now, has really elevated the story, or the anime adaptation of the Boruto story, to a very, I would say, respectable height for the most part. I would say a lot of the issues persons would have had with the Boruto anime, if they have actually if they stuck around until this point, those issues would, for the most part, they've been phased out, I personally feel. And it's episodes like this that actually remind me of that. Now, this episode in itself, as I said, it was another solid one because, again, just to repeat my initial points there, the changes that they've made, such as Sarada, Mitsuki, actually in this episode, when in the manga counterpart, which this episode is based on, I believe chapter 29, those characters weren't actually a part of that section of the story for the most part. From now until a decent portion further into the manga, Sarada and Mitsuki hardly had any panel time. So I appreciate this episode as it actually sets up Sarada and Mitsuki to not only communicate to the audience that they're actually still relevant, still important to everything that's going on, but to get us, the audience, more invested in Sarada and Mitsuki's involvement in Kawaki and Boruto and Naruto's, slice of life that's going on right now. So they don't really fade into, obscurity or unimportantness, if I can put it like that. So I actually love that aspect of the chapter, of this episode, if I do say so myself. And as I said, the whole setup with the Chidori is going to really pay off much better in comparison to what we got in the manga. So definitely a solid episode in that regard. Now, of course, coming out of an episode like this, or how it's been since Kawaki came to the village, the whole process of re-socializing Kawaki and his trauma affecting how he interacts with people, and Naruto essentially helping him to get over that trauma. Just basically the parallels or the contrast between what Kawaki grew up seeing, grew up experiencing, and what he's experiencing now is still on display. As we saw that train session between Boruto and Naruto, and of course he's comparing it to Kawaki, to himself and Jigen. And of course it kind of paves the way for the emotional aspect of this episode going forward. And what I like about it as well, this actually helped to subtly or semi-subtly, can I put it like that, call back to what longtime Naruto fans would have experienced on an emotional level with Naruto's character and his loneliness and what he must have done to combat that. So it's like a nice little callback to that whole aspect of the franchise from like the early days as well. And what I did also like about the episode is the fact that the involvement of Sarada and Mitsuki essentially does another subtle callback similar to that previous subtle callback, where the whole rivalry dynamic between Naruto and Sasuke is subtly referenced in this episode through Sarada and Mitsuki's involvement in the episode, and them being witness to what was going on in the episode as well. So it's just a nicely interconnected web of benefits or positives for the episode, and setting it up as a much more tightly knit, fleshed out product when compared to the manga version of the story. So all in all, I would say this is a very like well executed episode. I know like on like surface glance or surface level it might seem like it's like slow burn, but honestly it's doing good. It's doing good, and we're gonna be getting a decent amount of action, you know, in an episode or two. So I haven't even checked out the preview yet, but more next episode we should be getting the events of what, chapter 13, which should be Boruto and Kawaki sparring. So that's gonna be interesting. I did enjoy the, you know, the choreography and just the whole training session between Naruto and and Boruto. You know, initially it wasn't really anything too crazy animation wise, but at least I did love the decision for it to be that way. Looking back at the episode now, especially just to highlight the contrast once Boruto's karma is activated, it really highlights the difference. So there's that. And that whole karma exchange was nice. They added a little bit more into the whole fight choreography. That last part where, you know, Boruto was actually a shadow clone, and then, you know, Naruto comes in. There were some extra tidbits to the fight, so that kind of helped to really showcase how, you know, as I said, Boruto's grown, he's been training, all the works, and honestly, in a sense, all his shenanigans, if I can put it like that, in terms of using scientific ninja weapons, is like episodes like this showcase that Boruto has always had this wealth of, you know, potential naturally, and he's always had this level of skill. It's just that his whole mental conflict with, at the time, with trying to impress his dad and finding the easiest way possible has been the only thing holding him back. So that's the thing about that as well, if I could extract something from all of that. So woo, yeah. So solid episode. Definitely love the additional scenes. It does well to set things up for, you know, the eventual payoffs we'll be getting. The additions overall are just beautiful, and they're multi-layered in terms of the benefits that they add to an episode like this. So if I'm making any form of sense, please let me know. Or if I'm talking nonsense, of course let me know as well. But yeah, all in all, it was a good episode. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Of course, leave a like if I made some amount of sense, and definitely subscribe. As I said, help a friendly neighborhood Uchiha out in the grand scheme of things to reach 20,000 subs by the end of 2021. Let's see how that goes. But all in all, if I missed anything, we can talk about it in the comment section below. Definitely rate, comment, subscribe. Hope you guys are having an awesome Sunday afternoon, which should be when this video is going up, and I'll see you in the next episode review. See you guys.